This week on part 3 of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion.
So she's the reason you're estranged from your daughters?
For 6 months.
The daughters were not
weren't you already estranged from your daughters when you came into the show?
This is ludicrous.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the third part of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 5 reunion, the conclusion. Let's get right into this.
Back.
I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I really did feel like 3 parts was a little too much. I was kind of falling asleep halfway through, but let's just talk about what happened in this third part. So they're coming back from the break, and the friend of the show has now joined, Britney Bateman. That girl is so happy to be on TV. So apparently Britney had brought the exact same dress as Angie, like literally the exact same dress, the exact same color, and she had already put it on. But they say that it was really nice of her that she offered to change as soon as she saw Angie also wearing it. They ask her about her relationship status with Jared. She says they've broken up, even though on the bottom of the screen, the editors clarify that since the taping of this reunion, they're back together. They're so on and off. It's so crazy. There's a question about Bronwyn. Earlier in the season, she said that she thought that Britney was only with Jared because of the last name. And I need to ask y'all, are these Osmond people really that famous? Because I've never really even heard about them prior to this one, to be honest. But anyway, Bronwyn says that she probably shouldn't have said that because she really didn't know Britney that much. But she then tells Britney that Jared is actually a horrible guy because of the way that he talks about women on social media and the text messages that he was sending her. Heather says, well, didn't you make a comment about him having a micro penis? Which is true. She did say that. Bronwyn said that in the after show. So I can kind of see a little bit him being a little justified at being angry. But then Bronwyn reads the actual message that Jared sent her. She read it out loud, and oh my gosh, Jared went in on Bronwyn. He called her a little bitch. He would, you wouldn't know anything. It was a long message where he was dragging her, and he says, I could go into your anatomy, but I'm gonna keep it classy. Britney says that she is super embarrassed by that, but it's a chapter that she's closed, which again, that's false because in real time they're together. Britney then opens up about the relationship with her daughters. So she has 2 daughters. She is not estranged with one of them, but she is with the other one. Heather and some of the women chime in and they have a little bit of a conversation on how, especially in the Mormon culture, when you're older, it's tricky to date because of the way that you view relationships. You're supposed to put the man first. And so when you have kids, a lot of the times, these women, they put the man over their children at times, which is something that definitely makes Heather pretty scared, and one of the reasons why she's a little reluctant to get into dating, because that's definitely what Britney did. So this was interesting. Bronwyn is saying how she definitely feels for Britney in that aspect and that she can kind of even relate to her. But then Britney brings up her daughters. She says to Bronwyn, you're the only one who knew why I was estranged with my daughters. Why did you meddle in that, causing my daughter to block me? Britney claims that Bronwyn used her quote-unquote flying monkeys to contact her daughters. Bronwyn claims that what it really was is that there was a mutual connection that both Britney and her knew, and that this person did tell Bronwyn about Britney and her daughter's estranged relationship. It was a bit confusing trying to follow what Britney was trying to say. Andy even says, before you came on the show, you were already not talking to them, so it clearly wasn't Bronwyn's fault. But Britney says that yes, it was, and she's going to still hold Bronwyn responsible for them not talking to her for 3 months. Again, don't get it. So they move on to the bar mitzvah, high body count, hair, slut shaming drama of it all. So they take a look at those scenes. They joke about Mary trying to get into the event. Then Andy references a comment that Heather made on the after show. Heather pretty much said that she was on Angie's side when Britney got mad at Angie for bringing a bottle of wine to her house. Heather says that it's not really Angie's responsibility to know how Britney practices her Mormon faith, especially given that she is living a double life. Like, she is on regular drinking and doing things that technically she's not supposed to. Britney says, "No, I'm not living a double life." Everyone seems to be on Angie's side with her bringing the wine, except Lisa, which doesn't surprise me. She's usually on the wrong side anyway. Mary definitely lets Meredith know that she was wrong for throwing Angie out without knowing her side. They touch on how the women were very supportive of Britney when she opened up and revealed to them that she had been sleeping with Jared. Mary does say that she's still confused why she brought that up, because the conversation they were having in the moment was about Britney recording them, so why did she switch it up to talk about she's sleeping with Jared? Britney says, "No, it's because I really wasn't recording, but there was something that I was lying about, and that's what it was, so I had to come clean." So then they move on. They take a look at the trip to Mexico, the Bronwyn drama, Angie, the recording, the last night, all of that. So the first question is asking Lisa that, didn't she realize that Bronwyn wanting to be in the same villa with her simply meant that she wanted to be close to her? And Lisa then explains that she was actually trying to be nice by giving Bronwyn a nicer room because a dog had just bit her. And they talk about that dog bite, and even looking at it, it hurts to look at. Like, I can't even imagine. Oh, I hate it. They also ask Lisa, why did she storm out of the dinner that one night? Why did it hurt her so much that Angie said that she learned more about Bronwyn in one day than she knew about Lisa's entire life? Lisa says that she thinks that was definitely a dig. She says she was also at the moment trying to be the mediator between Angie and Meredith, trying to solve their issue. And that's when Angie says, I wanted to hear what Meredith had to say. She's a lawyer. She can sit down with me if she wants. She should be able to take me out. I'm a freaking beauty school student. She actually got trained to talk to people. Lisa says, but you were shutting me down. You hurt my feelings. Angie says that, listen, Bronwyn did share a lot, more than anyone else has. They ask Bronwyn if Lisa acts like the victim, and Bronwyn says that she doesn't know if necessarily she acts like the victim, but what she does know is that when something happens to other people, she doesn't really care, but when it happens to her, she's so against it. For example, she allowed people to talk about her marriage, but she got mad when Whitney talked about hers in the finale. Lisa says that it's not the same, you can't compare, and that she actually never talked bad about Bronwyn's marriage. She says, matter of fact, when have you stuck up for me? And Bronwyn says, I have. I stuck up with you when I went on a walk with Angie and Whitney, and I stuck up for you at the Bezos party. They switch gears a little bit. Britney hearing Meredith throwing up. So Britney says that the sound of throwing up is like very distinct. Like, she absolutely heard Meredith throwing up, and she did bring it up to Meredith first to make sure she was okay. Meredith then acts like an unhinged Meredith. You're a liar! You know nothing! You insinuated I had an eating disorder! Oh my gosh. Then Andy brings up how Britney had about 4 different explanations as to why she was recording. Britney says that all of those were true all at the same time. Now, even though we know she's a liar, granted, the recording was only 24 seconds. I still feel like they overreacted personally, but that's just me. The women say that they had this reaction because of what they've gone through. Britney says that that was a very abusive experience and that she's still trying to recover from it. Andy asks Mary why did it bother her that Angie ran after Britney, and Britney says, for the record, to Mary, I didn't know you felt that way about me. I actually really like you. And Mary says, I just don't think you're honest. I personally still think that it was kind of dumb for Mary to get mad at Angie for checking in on someone, but it actually brought a beautiful moment in their friendship, and they say that they truly do believe God made them closer. Andy mentions how Meredith got a call from Jen Shah from prison, and Meredith is detailing the phone call. Whitney then says, how is that any different than me reaching out to Monica? And Meredith says, because I wasn't reaching out to her to get information against my friends. Whitney and Mary are kind of coming down at Meredith for talking to her, though. And Meredith says, well, she's in prison paying for what she did and paying restitution. What am I... She's supposed to just curl up and die? Mary says, she lied to us till the day she was found guilty. I wouldn't answer any calls from Jen Shah. She blamed us for her getting caught. Meredith says, do you not believe in second chances? Now, you guys, I'm going to have the unpopular opinion. I actually agree with Meredith on this. Jen is paying for what she did. I mean, does that really have to define her for the rest of her life? It's like what Meredith said. She's in prison, and she's going to pay up the money. So, I don't know. I'm kind of with Meredith on this. Okay, then they move on to the last night. Reading the meanest text that you've ever sent someone. Heather says that her intention was truly for them to stop hurting each other and for them to burn any negativity that they've said about one another. Andy asks Bronwyn how did she feel after reading what Angie wrote about her. And Bronwyn says that obviously it was hurtful, but like she knew what the purpose of the game was, so she took it as she was supposed to. And apparently some of them say that it actually kind of felt a little bit like they were taking the power back by reading it out loud. So then they touch on the text that Whitney wrote about Lisa. Whitney says, Lisa, I wanted to burn it. I've regretted talking about your marriage. That's why I brought it up. Why can't you burn it? And Meredith and Lisa both say, because you keep doing it. Andy says, she's trying to let it go with you. And Whitney says, I know that's the thing that I've hurt you with the most, and that's why I'm trying to say sorry. Some of the others are trying to help Lisa and Whitney fix it, but Lisa was getting a little frustrated with all of them, and she's like, let me think. She then starts talking about her child. She starts to cry. She's talking about her childhood, and she says that she's always had a soft spot for Whitney, but she brought up something so bad that could really ruin the people who she loves the most, which is her husband and kids. And Lisa says, I'm a good friend. So that's when Bronwyn interrupts and says, no, you're not. You just brought up a text to try and bury me. So because Bronwyn is kind of getting in the way of their conversation, Whitney gets up, she sits next to Lisa so they can kind of understand each other. They're sort of getting somewhere, but then, there's just like one little thing that they can't agree on or they don't want to take accountability for. So it's like they almost had it, but then they didn't. But eventually they actually do kind of make up a little. They say that they love each other and that they will never bring it up anymore. Okay, so then they thank Britney, she leaves, and then for final thoughts, Andy has an idea he's going to call on each of the women and give them a name of another one, and they're actually going to have to say the best thing about them. So Mary says that for Heather, she says Heather has a lot of love. Lisa says that Whitney is a great mom, and she can actually be a really good friend and wishes her the best in all of her businesses. Meredith tells Angie that she looks very pretty tonight and that she's a great mother and she's very hardworking. Angie says that Meredith is also beautiful and a great mother and that she actually secretly really likes Meredith. Bronwyn says that she's always wanted to be friends with Heather. She thinks Heather is very intelligent and very witty, and she's proud of how she's raising her daughters. Heather says that Bronwyn has gone through a lot of trauma that she totally understands, and Heather's kind of crying about this, and she says that Bronwyn is remarkable and she's a fabulous contribution to this group. Whitney says that Lisa has the best hair out of all of them and that she loves Lisa's uniqueness and that Lisa can be a very good friend. And then Mary wants Andy to do hers. So Andy says to Mary that she has showed us, he says, you've showed us your heart this year. You were open. You showed us compassion. You showed us parenting. And you're very funny. And then finally, they have some beers, and Heather leads them on a cheers. Whew. And that was the end of this reunion. You guys, I cannot believe this season has ended. It's been, since September, right? And now we're in February, and the season is over. Listen, the reunion was a little underwhelming. I actually, didn't care too much about it, but what I will say is that the season as a whole was just like chef's kiss. It was amazing. It was like Housewives Renaissance coming back, and I really, really enjoyed season 5 of the Real Houses of Salt Lake City. You know, I always want, like, ever since like the second season, I've always thought like, are they ever going to be able to top this? And they've always been able to just constantly and consistently bring the good, entertaining drama. So I can't wait for next season to see what that'll bring. You guys, let me know what your thoughts are about next season. Should all of them come back? Is there someone you wouldn't want to see back? Let me know what your thoughts were. I want to thank every one of y'all who were here since the very beginning of the season 5. It's been a great time being able to recap the show. So I thank y'all so much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.